as they win 4-0 at home. Omar Marmoush with a first-half hat-trick. The goals coming just 14 minutes apart. All right, here's the update from Pep Guardiola. Quote, "When he was down, everyone was scared. He got up, walked smiling like always. I didn't speak to him, but the doctors didn't come for bad news. Hopefully he will be fine for Madrid," of course, referencing the second leg of their Champions League tie coming up. So
how many teams only have 3 shots against Man City these days? Jack?
A lot.
Seriously, I'm being serious.
I didn't think we were going to start with how bad Newcastle were in this game. I think we'll get to that. But maybe that's a credit to City. I mean,
They can't defend.
This is as good as we've seen City since.
Since Newcastle allowed them to look this good.
Since the last time Newcastle were in town.
They played. Let me just say, I predicted a 1-1 in this, and at no point did Newcastle look like they were going to score. At no point did they look like they had enough to contain Manchester City. To their credit, and for all the criticism we've kind of hurled at Manchester City, rightfully so, for the last few months, this was an absolute walk in the park. Everything about it clicked. Marmoush was simply outstanding. Had trick in 31 minutes or something of the sort, and that told its tale, because again the difference between the two kind of give again the criticism we've put at Manchester City and some of the praise we've put at Newcastle. I'm not sure how to explain it.
What was that stat on Newcastle that you had in the commentator?
Newcastle have not beat Manchester City. I don't want to say the Etihad because the last time it happened was at Main Road. Alan Shearer scored in
2000,
2005
right?
or 2000.
Yeah.
That's the last time that Newcastle won away at Manchester City, and we all know how things have gone since that. I mean, it's hard to underscore the difference between the two. Kind of given again how we've spoken about both these two teams during the course of the season, because it was 4 and deservedly so.
That's a great response though from City off the back of their defeats and their mistakes in the Real Madrid game, a game that they should have lost by more ultimately, but that's a good response. But you know, that's not the kind of animal they'll be facing in 3 or 4 days or whatever it is. So you know, it's not.
Well, nothing's Real Madrid, but we've heaped a lot of praise on Newcastle this season.
Yeah, but they were poor today, and
the City doesn't deserve the credit for that.
Yeah, well, look, City are pushing for the top 4. That is all. You know, I think the big concern, and we talked about Haaland, and we showed the clip of Haaland going off, and of course that is a concern. But that's not their biggest concern, and it's only my opinion. It's not like, you know, how will that affect how many they score? It's not going to alter how many they may lose. And I think that is a big problem going into this game in midweek. That's why I'm surprised a good Newcastle side has not caused this Manchester City side more problems. I don't have all the answers to it because I wasn't really across this game as much. We were doing all the La Liga stuff. But it's a big result for them. You don't want to go into a Champions League second leg, huge tie, off the back of another bruising defeat, which they haven't done. So that's a huge bonus for them. Whether that's going to do anything to the conference or the shape or whatever it is, going into the Bernabeu, I have my doubts.
I think it should, because to your point, this was a good Newcastle team. Maybe you want to bring in Livramento instead of Trippier. You could make that argument. Joe Linton was missing, but Murphy played on the right-hand side. But outside of that, this was Newcastle's regular front 3. Including Alexander Isak, who's been terrorizing defenses all season long. I can't tell you one thing he did during the course of the day. And if you're Manchester City and you've had the problems that you've had, coming up against that good a front 3 and looking that comfortable, I take a lot of heart from it.
Don, what impressed you the most today about Manchester City?
I was on comms for the game. I thought Marmoush, I mean, at £60 million, I mean, he'll end up being a bargain. I've seen a lot of him at Eintracht Frankfurt, and what he's got this ability, which is a fantastic ability, to run in behind, because when Man City play and you think of Phil Foden or Savinho, who, by the way, was unbelievably good today. If Marmoush doesn't get a hat-trick, Savinho would have got man of the match. He was awesome on that right-hand side. Nico Gonzalez controlled the game. He was one of them where you hardly really seen him because you'd have to concentrate on how simple he kept the game and he kept the moves flowing. But Marmoush is a player that he's got this ability like Julian Alvarez. I saw over in America with you guys in the summer, and I thought it was a really strange selling Alvarez, unless they bought someone and they didn't, and it put too much pressure on Erling Haaland to play every single game. Now, when you look at City, they've got too many players that come short. So Phil Foden comes short, Gundogan comes short, Haaland at times comes short, Grealish comes short, they all do. Kevin De Bruyne comes short. The one player that doesn't mind ignoring the ball at times and making runs in behind. And the first goal was a classic example from Marmoush, and he'd literally done it about 20 times. It was obviously a game plan. So Boslai tries to do the same thing for Liverpool, but he got in behind so many times. It's a reason why Newcastle haven't won there in 25 years in the league, and Newcastle never turned up. But it wasn't really on Newcastle how poor they were. I thought how good City were and how good Marmoush and Savinho were. I thought the two of them were absolutely outstanding and terrorised that Newcastle back line. Shaka's right though. I mean, till about 80, 85 minutes, I'm watching Isak and I'm thinking, not mentioned him in comms. Last 15 minutes, he went out to the left-hand side and Wilson went through the middle. He still never got a kick. Tonali, I think, is one of the best midfield players in that position in European football. Never got a kick. And City dismantled him.
Jules, if we look ahead to the Champions League, based on what you saw today, does it give you more hope for what Manchester City could potentially do against Real Madrid in that second leg?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's always good if one of your forwards scores 3 goals. I think Haaland is nothing. I don't think there's an injury there on his knee either. Yeah, you don't concede. It's very rare that you keep a clean sheet lately. Like Craig was saying, if you're Manchester City, there was no mistake from your centre-backs, which is, again, quite unusual right now in City. Newcastle was so bad, and they were probably so bad because City were good. Even before the first goal, City were still dominant and they started the game much better. And like we've been saying, Newcastle never took a day off, basically. That's what it was. So you would expect Real Madrid, it's not you would expect, Real Madrid at the Bernabeu would be a much tougher opponent, of course, than anything we saw today. I still think that City will have to raise their game, and they've struggled to do that in big games this season. If you look at all the top games, and I guess today was a big game. They were level on points. Newcastle have been very good lately. We said that. So they raised their game today. Can they do it again next week on Wednesday? Probably. It would be tougher. The thing I would say on Marmoush, which I think we will have to keep an eye on, that would be very interesting, is Haaland was very anonymous today. He had 2 shots, 2 low XG shots, one on a head on a corner, and then something that was not even a shot before. Yeah, there's the assist from McAtee, but apart from that, I think he makes 6 passes. He didn't touch the ball much. I think Marmoush used a lot of what Haaland was doing in terms of position to get himself into the position where he scored. Great. But how much is Marmoush shining could take away maybe what Haaland is very good at for this team. And again, it's new for them to play together with each other. So they might need a bit of time to adapt of each other, complement each other, understand what the movement are of each other. But on today, we didn't see Haaland at all when Marmoush was shining. And